Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to the May Mental Health and Women's Health Digital Health Symposium, focusing on the various techniques and technologies and terminologies that people are using today to improve access, affordability, and quality of women's healthcare and mental health care in this new, gradually emerging virtual first healthcare system that we're seeing in the United States and all around the world. My name is Stan Kachnowski. I'm the director of the Digital Health Program at Columbia Business School. And the pilot of the program today is Jerry Antamano, the production manager for the Digital Health Symposia each month. And it's our pleasure to host you and to facilitate and moderate a series of discussions about the research and the actual implementation of digital health platforms for women's health and mental health activities around the world. Our sponsors today, a huge thank you to Metadata, LiveCare, AARP Innovation Labs, the ACHA, America's Continental Healthcare Alliance, the Merck Global Innovation Fund, and Goodwin Procter, one of the leading healthcare firms in the world, helping people in HIPAA and Stark and shareholder agreements, patents, etc. And a major sponsor, thank you to Vicert, who has been providing a variety of services to digital health companies and major stakeholders across life science, health plans, and hospitals around the world for decades. So thank you, Vicert. And the program today, we're really excited to include Rachel Sherrill, a longtime friend of HITLAB and our Women's Health Tech Initiative, an initiative that was set up several years ago to help expand and improve women's health outcomes and women in health tech and venture. Rachel, who's been a fellow at HITLAB now for many years, has recently finished a book, and we're going to be talking about that a little bit today, called Orgasmic Leadership. And that's a part of our book giveaway today. Not only will we be discussing the book and its contents and its relevance and novelty to today's healthcare ecosystem, but we will also be giving away several copies of the book, personally signed by Rachel, the author herself. And whoever answers the trivia questions throughout the program today first will have that free copy sent to them. And again, personally signed by Rachel. So we're excited today to have the first question today for the trivia contest for one of Rachel's books. What % of Americans, and just write this in your chat box on the Zoom panel, if you look at your Zoom controls, and just answer the question as best you can. What % of Americans ages 18 and older suffer from a diagnosable mental disorder in a given year? And again, A, 12%, B, 5.5%, C, 26%, D, 18.2%. We have a lot of people answering in the chat box. So it's clear that you have used Zoom before. That's good to see. I'm assuming most of you have. And so the answer is C, 26%. And so the winner for today is actually Nurlan, coming in from us from across the world. So Nurlan, congratulations. You have won the first copy of Orgasmic Leadership, and looking forward to sending that off to you. And we're excited to have with us today a whole host of speakers and experts from around the world. And our first guest that we'll be hosting today is Renae Beaumont, who's an assistant professor of psychology and clinical psychiatry at the Weill Cornell Medical Center. And we're really happy to have Professor Beaumont joining us today. Hi, Renae, how are you?
I'm doing awesome, Stan. How are you?
Good, good, good. Really appreciate you joining us today. And we always like to find out where people are when we're talking to them in this virtual world. We never know if they're in New York or in Ithaca or somewhere in the Bahamas or some Caribbean island far away. Which part of the world are you in?
I'm in New York at the moment, but you can probably tell from the Australian accent, originally from Australia. So
that's fantastic. Yeah, tell the audience a little bit about your journey. That'd be great to hear about your background.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dan. Let me just share this screen and I can get started. So I am the founder of Secret Agent Society, which often the name piques people's interest. What is this about? I'll tell you a little bit about that today. Originally from Australia, founded the program there and had a big dream to bring it to the US. And that dream was made possible through Weill Cornell Medicine. So very grateful to them for hosting and spearheading and supporting some further research. So thank you for this opportunity to join today and talk about women's health and mental health in our current digital era, and what I would describe the ongoing evolution of a tech revolution that's happened in this space. So from this slide, you can see some of the innovations that have really come to the forefront in the last 2 to 3 years, very much spurred on by the pandemic, and which I would argue collectively have represented a revolution, particularly in mental health and women's health, from telehealth, delivery of therapy, doctor's appointments, through to chatbots and text-based support in the mental health space, remote monitoring that's been made possible through wearables, everything from heart rate and activity levels to sleep, and many other innovations in being able to monitor people's health. And then those innovations, particularly in women's and mental health, that involve the user manually entering data. So you can see here on the slide at the bottom left, an example of a period tracking app. And I personally got to benefit, not from the period tracking app, but from these innovations in women's mental health and tech. I was actually pregnant during the pandemic before the vaccine was released, and literally used a doula app to track my contractions. So I knew when to go to the hospital. So these innovations have touched my life, both professionally, but very much personally as well. We also have an explosion of apps that can guide and coach users in using skills like meditation that you see here on screen. And innovations, many of you may have heard of the Endeavor therapeutic video game that received FDA approval for children with ADHD to improve focus. So latest innovations around video game delivery of therapies, and virtual reality and also augmented reality, and how those are being integrated into therapies and also other medical innovations. So it's a really exciting time to be part of this ecosystem. But with that excitement around this revolution, there can also be a feeling of being overwhelmed, inundated by all these different innovations and solutions. And that feeling of being overwhelmed is at every level within our system, from the patient to the provider, payers, and society at large. And, I think in terms of the next step, that evolution of our tech innovation revolution really is around consolidation and thinking about how can we integrate and offer these opportunities and these great tech innovations in a way that's easily digestible, where those with the greatest evidence base are the ones that shine, and those that maybe don't have that proven track record as yet don't get the same opportunities, because our reputation is on the line here. And then both from product offering through to data synthesis and delivery, with all these tech innovations, there's a lot of wonderful data being collected. And you can see this article that I've referenced here by Nature around healthcare being reimagined. This was published a couple of years ago, around how we need to be thoughtful around how we can integrate data from all these different sources into the electronic health record of a patient, how that may then be stored on the cloud and then delivered in an easily digestible way to physicians, so they're not having to take all this extra time trying to wade through all this data to make sense of it when they're so time pressured, and also in a de-identified way to the actual organizations that are creating and trying to continue to improve and enhance these products, as well as to researchers, so they can continue to innovate not just products, but also furthering our understanding of different disease states and conditions. So I would argue this next stage of consolidation is really where we're heading in terms of this evolution in both women's health and tech innovations in mental health. So I wanted to just briefly talk about what's going to continue to drive uptake of digital health solutions as pandemic conditions, the social distancing, the mask wearing's lifting. How are we going to continue to support this ongoing adoption there was a huge surge in the face of the pandemic and limited face-to-face interactions in healthcare. And I would argue 3 KPIs we really need to keep forefront and center around: evidence-based, showing effectiveness; access, not just breadth of access, but equity in access, and closing that digital divide for underserved communities that desperately need these solutions; and also thinking about cost effectiveness implications as well. How can we show that our solutions are as effective, if not more so, in terms of improving outcomes and the cost of healthcare delivery? So I wanted to finish up talking a little bit about My Innovation Secret Agent Society and how we've kind of approached this revolution and evolution in addressing mental health challenges for young children. So I did want to disclaim that I am the founder of Secret Agent Society. I receive royalty payments on the sale of program materials. And the question, I'm sure everyone's like, what is this Secret Agent Society? So it is a video gaming-based therapy program that often, and the strongest evidence base is for small group delivery. It is an evidence-based solution. So there are 19 publications, 4 of which are randomized controlled trials. It's for 8 to 12-year-olds, originally developed by me for the children on the autism spectrum, but more recent research has shown equal effectiveness for children with ADHD and anxiety disorders. The clinical targets or endpoints include emotion regulation skills, so specifically anxiety and anger management, social interaction skills, challenging behaviors, and really exciting recent research has shown improvements in hyperactivity for children with ADHD. Now, we're still exploring and understanding that further, and that isn't published yet, but it is an exciting new finding in terms of the clinical benefits of this program. Now, it's not just a program for children. We also involve parents, school staff, and clinicians as a team around the child solution to really support and enhance the skill development of children, but those who support them as well. So if we think about how is technology adopted within this intervention, it's at every touch point. So really sparked by the pandemic, we have this huge challenge for children not being able to get face-to-face service delivery, being socially isolated in terms of face-to-face interactions with peers, and we had to do something to help address that issue. So we transformed those elements of the program that previously were physical products like physical board games and walkie-talkies and all these other elements were transformed into one digital platform to enable telehealth delivery of the program, either individually or in a small group, but the intervention can also be delivered face-to-face as well. The kind of jewel in the crown of Secret Agent Society is a multi-level video game that teaches kids skills in how to recognize emotions in themselves and others, how to express their emotions in helpful ways, and then social interaction skills to help them make and keep friends. Also, as I mentioned, the whole lot of the physical resources, if we talk about that transformation from revolution to evolution, the video game's been part of the program from the outset, but all of the other physical products were transformed and delivered through one integrated online training and program delivery platform for clinicians and educators. And that really launched March last year. And there's also built into that platform an online data capturing, integration, and reporting functionality, including a skill tracker app that can be used by children, parents, and clinicians. So here you can see some screenshots of those elements, the video game, you can see the facilitated dashboard for delivering sessions, and on the far right, you can also see the skill tracker app that children, parents, and teachers can use to track children's progress in using skills in different contexts. If we look at distribution and impact of the program to date, it's used in health, education, and disability sectors, largely in Australia at this point, where it was founded. Over 23,000 children and families to date have benefited from the program. And since that online platform launched in March of last year, over 752 clinicians and educators have adopted the program, and we've had a 90% resubscription rate after a year. And the program is distributed by a company called Social Skills Training Proprietary Limited that's based in Australia. So to finish up, I just wanted to talk about what's the next frontier in our thinking around the application of technology. We're thinking about how we're going to develop AI algorithms from data capturing that's happening with the platform to provide a more tailored user experience for children and to enhance effectiveness. We're looking at the video game as a standalone solution. Brain imaging to look at what are the functional changes in the brain that are happening for children that go through the program, and how can we scale the impact and reach, particularly here in the US. So I'd like to finish off by saying a very big thank you to the incredible families, clinicians, colleagues, and educators that I work with, both at Weill Cornell Medicine, but also at the Social Skills Training Institute and Autism Cooperative Research Centre in Australia. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Really nice presentation, Renae, and really appreciate the time and the effort to come in here today and discuss this. Have a great afternoon. Have a great evening.
Thanks so much. Enjoy this amazing symposium, everyone. Bye.
Appreciate it.